Good morning. So this is going to be a demonstration for the concept drawing for funky fonts. Funky meaning kind of weird, kind of unusual, kind of out of the ordinary, unexpected. And you can see under the camera here, and I've done this concept drawing using both pencil and marker. I have three letters. I have an L, I have a C, and I have a Y. And I vary the weight of the lines. You see thin lines, you see thick lines, you see medium weight lines. And I've also varied the line quality. You see straight lines, curved lines, wiggly lines, squiggly lines. That is, the difference in line type or line quality is also important for adding variety to your surface. Now, there's only three letters there, and those three letters don't really make any sense to me except I just enjoy drawing them, which is fine as well. Here are my initials, WSN, and the N is a little hard to understand, but it is the pathway followed by this bouncing ball over here. And again, playing around with different types of line and different weights of line, and also experimenting a little bit with contour lines here, those curving lines that kind of give a sense of the surface being rounded, okay? Now here's another concept drawing using an actual word, joy, J-O-Y. And you can see playing around with different line weights, different line quality. And you notice how tightly packed the design is. And you know that I like to see you use overlapping shapes because that overlap creates layers of space going from front to back, opening up the depth of the picture. That's really important. Did the same thing right here with that, J-O-Y, same letters, J-O-Y, this one looking a bit alien-like with shadows here on the ground. Those are important design elements down there. Again, drawing large, filling the design space, and here probably my favorite of all the concepts, J-O-Y. Now the letters in each case don't really look exactly the same. There may be similarities, but not exactly. Remember, variation means slight changes that improve the overall look of things. Now this is a final for that same assignment. This is the full color, fully shaded final using the same three letters, J-O-Y. And you can see I value variety of line weight, shading, always shading, some blending going on there, and of course, range of value, dark to light, continuous tone, to give individual surfaces a more three-dimensional appearance. Now this is a previous assignment right here. This is a concept drawing for the bottles assignment. And again, the more high quality drawing you can give me, the better. So the bigger, the more, the better, as long as it's of high quality and shows a thoughtful use of the drawing tool or the drawing tools. Let me get started on a simple drawing starting in planning pencil. Okay, always start in planning pencil. Have an eraser handy. If you're not bringing these two tools to the art class, you might want to rethink your strategy. You come prepared. Prepared means you bring yourself, come on time, and bring the tools you need. Okay, I'm only asking for two simple things, eraser and pencil, and you can manage this, all right? You're capable of this. First decision, do I design vertically? Do I design horizontally? Doesn't really matter to me. What am I going to design? I'm going to go ahead and just have fun with a nice big strong line there, and I'm going to go with my initials again, I guess, W. You notice the big movements that I use. W, boy, that W fills almost that entire space. My middle initial, S. Now it could be that I want to confine its width right there. I kind of like that snaky line right there. Now I'm not done yet, of course. I'm gonna go ahead and play around a little bit more with line. And my last initial, N. Now how is my N gonna be? It could be a script N, it could be a block letter N. Let me think what I'm gonna do. Let me go ahead and take this top part of this S and bring it back over like this. And this is kind of a script, like when you write in cursive. Now, right now, that's not terribly impressive. I'm gonna go ahead and use some marker and play around with line weight a little bit, remembering that you have different kinds of permanent marker. You can use water-based marker for this as well. It doesn't really matter. It's entirely up to you what you want to use, and if you want to use different colors, that's fine. But let's go ahead and play around a little bit with weight on this concept. In other words, I'd like to see, when you give me your concept drawing for this, Freaky Fonts, I want to see some variation in line weight. It's such a dark mark that you better be able to handle this with some degree of confidence and skill. Notice that my starts and my stops are under a lot of my control. There's an extremely thick line. Here is a thicker double line right there. that I was able to make using 2, just filling in the gap right there. That's a very, very heavily weighted line. It could be that I'm going to take one of these medium points on this medium permanent marker, do a little cleanup right here at the top, and come back down with this. And I'm going to go ahead and make a small loop there and go right up here like this. Now, I don't think I'm done, but you can see my W right there. Looking a bit more interesting and certainly more bold for the fact that it's black against white, okay? And again, I'm going to come back in here with this S. Let's go here with this very big mark. And I'll make this out of 2. I don't like this intersection of lines right there. I'm going to clean that up here in just a little bit. What can I do with this? Well, I'm going to go ahead and build out this one end of the S, come down here, do that little bit of cleanup on that one edge that I mentioned a moment ago, and I'm going to use a series of hatch lines. Now, hatch lines kind of substitute for shading when you can't really shade. You can't really shade with marker, but you can put lines fairly close together so from a distance it appears that there is shading, even though there really is not. So I'm going to use a series of hatch lines, and later on I might use hatch and cross hatch together. If I create broader and broader intervals of space for there, I can kind of fade those out if I want to like that. And since I've used that device, those hatch lines right there, I might go back and use them somewhere else. So I'm just not yet done yet. Let me go ahead with this in, and I'm going to interrupt that, interrupt that, interrupt that, interrupt that, and go ahead and bring that in around there. Again, that's more of a cursive in. It's not bold, it's not standing out the way I want it to. It doesn't have its own presence on the page the way I want it to. So I'm going to come back in here with this heavy marker. Okay, again, you better have good control over your mark, otherwise I will see the mistakes. There's a mistake right there, but typically I learn to work those mistakes into the design. I'm going to go right there. I deliberately left a little additional space there to make it appear as if that mistake belonged. Let me go ahead and join these together right there. Make it look like more of a continuous flow. Let's go here, and I'm going to go here. All right, so that line, oops, there comes some more hatching into the design right there. Let's bring this around here and feed that into there. And maybe these are some decorative elements there that continue the movement of the N as it comes and spirals around. Let me go ahead and feed that into there so it looks like a more continuous joining of edges right there, a little more under control. Do I like it yet? No, I do not like it yet. I think there's room for more interesting development of line. Let's go ahead and do this, and this, and this, and this. Kind of a variation on hatching, and I'll just diminish these lines as I go down, maybe even tighten them up so they're a little closer together as they kind of begin to fade out at the bottom. Let me go ahead and come up here with some more of these. Okay, this was totally unexpected here, this angle that I just put in, but guess what? I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to make that an additional flat surface right there at the top, and it could be that I'll just go ahead with some trailing lines and add a little more linear interest, line interest right here. Kind of gives that more of a solid effect right there. Am I done yet? Nope, I'm not done yet. So you can see what I'm looking for. Now you could be doing all of this with pencil, but when you've got to be using Sharpie marker anyway, or marker anyway, for a lot of this work, which you will, you might as well go ahead on your concept piece and explore some of the possibilities. There's more hatching right there. If you cross your hatching lines this way, going in a different direction, not necessarily an opposite direction, but a different direction, that area where the lines cross is called cross hatching, okay? So you can use both types of techniques if you want to. Am I done yet? No, I'm gonna take this design element down here, balance it out by putting it up here again, remembering that you can always repeat, making changes. Some changes slight, some changes more dramatic. And I'm going to go ahead and darken in some of these. They don't all have to be white or light. Remembering that on your final, you wouldn't have to use hatching and cross hatching. You can, but you can also just use color and value if you want to on your final. I kind of like that one right there. Let me do another one larger right here. Because I like this, I'm going to do it again. Again, cross-hatching here. If you see something that you like, you can repeat it. Just move it to a different area of the design. Make it bigger, make it smaller, make it darker, make it lighter, whatever, but vary it a little bit. Now that looks like an I right there, and that could be a little confusing, but that's okay. It's more of a design than anything else. I have my letters W, S, N in there. I'm still not sure about this area over here. I may go back and do some additional work. Nonetheless, you can see that I am continuing to develop this image until I am perfectly happy with the amount of and variety of line and line weight on there. Now, you try.